All right.
We have vanquished the demonic hosts and driven back the roiling clouds of chaos that plagued the lands. Let the world rejoice, for we have won its sanctity, and the air bears not the foul tang of the demon. But at what cost to us, the valorous and brave of Ulthuan?
Okay.
What sacrifices have been made upon this, the altar of hope?
When you were saying,
Struggling there.
we've
He was struggling.
we've driven back chaos. At what cost? I was like, is this a quote from the Cathay Arcane Journal? Because they're famously anti-chaos. They're not keen. Not a fan of chaos. I think it's fair to say. But we are here. I was late on my last stream by a minute because of whatever reason I said. I can't remember why it was. There was some reason for it. But today I figured let's try and be early. So a whole 15-minute early. 15-minute. I'm doing so well today.
You're doing great.
I was in my local shop getting some food, and the guy sees me a lot, and he said something like, "Oh, imagine seeing you here." A nice bit of like friendly shop safe banter. And I went, bleh, bleh. It wasn't even the first time I'd spoken that day. It was just like I lost the ability to talk momentarily, which I did apologise for. I said, "Oh, sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me. My brain's stopped working or something like that." It's all right.
I guess you just get in the zone, don't you? Just don't expect someone to come up with something like that.
No.
Oh, how do I respond? How do I be a normal human for 5 seconds?
I'm always a normal human. How dare you? Just not in that very specific situation. It was an odd one. But yes, that was where we were, or where I was today. I did a handover. So I had been working on some war wagons earlier in the week. Or last week, whenever it was. Really nice models, those war wagons. They are resin, but they're not bad resin. I'm quite impressed by the quality of Forge World resin. Now that they've done away with fine cast, I'm pretty on board with resin just as a general premise. I think I've got a Green Knight here who is painted green. Fortunately, oh nope, there's a bit of blurring. I will be doing some more to him, but I don't know what more I can do to him. Honestly, my idea was to paint him Hex Wraith Flame, and I've done that. And I'm like, this looks incredibly mediocre. And also details, what do I do? So I need to work that one out. But the context of working it out, and we'll come back to it in a second, is I'm at your event this weekend.
Whoop, whoop.
And I'm bringing the Green Knight. So that's something that needs to be painted. And in fact, I'm bringing the Green Knight. I actually don't know that the Green Knight's a problem. Says the it's funny. So I've been talking to a lot of Bretonnian players. Bretonnians are in an odd spot where they kind of dodged all of the nerfs of 1.5, and people, including myself, initially were like, yeah, they're really good still. But then the meta shifted, and there's a lot more guns now. And you know what Bretonnians don't like? Guns. So I actually feel like I've managed to pick them up at a good time, because they're no longer, in my eyes, maybe an S-tier faction. They're probably still an A-tier faction. They're still pretty solid. I'm not going to, pretend that I've jumped onto a struggling bandwagon, but not the terrors of yesteryear. So that's why I got to bring the Green Knight.
I think the 360 line of sight, charge across the board wherever you like, is always going to be strong, whatever the meta says, isn't it? But don't want to get shot too much.
Absolutely. How have you been since our last episode of the podcast?
Oh, I am very well. It's got very posh for a moment there. How do you do, sir? No, I'm very well, thank you. I have made basically no Cathay progress in the last 2 weeks.
Good.
Because I have been mostly catching up on some of the commission work for our most sporting opponent winners. They've several of them have sent me infantry characters to get painted up, so I've been working on those. Although I did do what was quite funny. I was at a mate's stag do over the weekend, and he's a massive Warhammer nerd, just like my good self. So it was very much a gaming themed stag do. And one of the challenges that we did on the Friday night was an orc speed painting drinking challenge, where you had to, everyone got just a base coated orc and loads of contrast paints, and everyone had to time themselves painting each colour. Mm-hmm. And then we had a series of drinking-based forfeits based on which position people came in. So it was like, if you were the first to finish, you just had to drink like a shot of beer or something. And then by the end, you were on the hard stuff. You were on the whiskey if you came last. So actually quite impressed with what the fellow stags came up with. Bear in mind, like an orc boy, and most of them, like the skin was done in like 43 seconds or something like that. So it's like you have to paint all of the green with the contrast paint in like 43 seconds. And some of these people didn't even know what Warhammer was prior to the stag do, so they were very confused by the end of the weekend when we finished our D&D game and hadn't been into a nightclub. But actually, the quality of the work was actually really good. I thought, like, for how long it took, the amount of whiskey that had been consumed prior to and during the contest, and the amount of time it actually took, I was very impressed.
All right.
So yeah, it was a very, very not normal stag do, but
Yes.
a lot of fun. Everyone really enjoyed it.
Good. That's the important thing. That is the
Yes.
most important thing there. For those of you who aren't from Britain, who may be concerned at the fact that Lewis was making people drink alcohol, don't worry, we have a binge drinking culture here, so this is within the realm of expectation for going to a stag do. I haven't drank for like, what are we on now? It must be about 20 months or so. Not that I don't drink, but I just haven't had any booze, and I'm just not, in a rush to keep that going. But I've been to 2 stag do's in that time. So they were
impressive to dodge that.
The first one, they were not on board with me drinking, and the second one, they were very supportive. So yeah, there's a wide range of responses to how it could go. If you're here and you haven't already given the stream a thumbs up, though, it does help us get picked up by that YouTube algorithm. Would appreciate if you can hit the big thumbs if you haven't already. Other than that, all of the usual things. Someone said that someone who'd already hit the thumbs up undid it. So I see how it is. You've gone out of your way to spite me. That's so rude.
That's the kind of savagery that I'm here for.
Absolutely. If you haven't already joined the Discord, there is a Discord. If you want to join the VIP section, there is if you are a member of Longbeard or above, you can do so. And if you're interested in getting tailored one-to-one advice and help and practice games, depending on what you would like to do, there is a Patreon link down below, Close Order Coaching, or I think it's just called Close Order, and that is specifically for the coaching that I now do as my main job. Callum says that wasn't me genuinely. It will be later. You're gonna not like me, but we'll get through the episode before we get to that. So, what else have we been up to? I spilled paint on my trousers today. That was annoying.
Were they troll high trousers or were they just normal trousers?
No, they were new jeans. They weren't expensive jeans, and I rinsed them off in the shower, so I got most of the paint off, but I think they're going to be vaguely... I'm going to just look like It was white paint, so that, I think, is better.
I'm not sure that's worse.
No, I think that's fine. That just gives me an air of someone, who works, does painting for a living, which I have done in the past. I'm not stealing it's not decorator stolen valor. As someone who has worked, in renovation and restoration, I feel like I can wear that without feeling ashamed to, pretend to be someone I'm not.
Our living room does need painting, Ed. If you want to bring some paints this weekend, you're more than welcome.
Oh, shame. I'm actually going to have to drop out of this weekend. That is unfortunate. Really unfortunate. No. Yeah, I wrote a list to try and beat Cathay. No Cathay this weekend. Which, I'm not upset at.
They've gone back east. They're like, we don't like it in the old world. It's rubbish here.
The choices I've made were very specific. So I put in the Green Knight and I put in the Falcon Horn. 2 things that you don't see a lot of in current lists. And that was because I was like, well, if I want to try and win an event, I've got to have at least a shot at beating a Cathay player. Probably someone who's bringing an undertuned Cathay list, or maybe is just playing it badly. That was the world that I'm in. I'm like, I'm going to probably match Cathay. I need to hope that they're playing badly. And then with these tweaks, I have a chance against them. Or if I get lucky and they get unlucky. Who can say? But we've got an event with no balloons, which is pretty fun. That's good.
That is, yeah. I mean, it's good in some ways. Bad in that the new faction isn't represented, because they are very cool. If you take away the veneer of the overpowered rules, they do look amazing.
Yeah.
So that is a slight shame. Yeah. But it's, I think, probably for the best.
Just to also address that, people parroting that you banned Cathay from your event. You
Yes,
definitely did not
right.
do
Yeah,
that.
we need to address this straight off the bat. I don't know where this has come from. Someone at some point today has decided that I banned Cathay from this event, which I did not do.
I didn't
I
realise that was on the
deliberately
table.
didn't ban anything.
I'd have asked you to.
Despite many requests to ban balloons or limit balloons, I deliberately didn't.
No.
I just appealed to the consciousness of all of the gamers coming.
Basically sent an email saying, you can bring 5 balloons and just smash everyone, but, like, don't, please. Pretty please. That was basically the tone of the email. It's like, you can do what you want. I'm not going to stop you, but, you know, please don't bring 5 balloons.
No, exactly. I mean, I just sort of thought I'd highlight that Saffron Slam, we're not aiming to be like the top tier competitive event in the world. That's not what we're trying to do. Trying to have a bit of fun. Acknowledging, obviously, that we've got a slightly challenging meta with the strength of Undead and the strength of Cathay. And that actually, because most people will be taking it easy and aiming for a chill weekend, if you did take one of those factions and tune your list to the absolute nines, you'd probably just crush everybody by about turn 2 and go and win the event easily, which is kind of like, yay, well done you, brilliant. I don't necessarily know that that's great. So what I asked everybody was, when they wrote their list, just to look back at it and ask themselves 2 questions, just 2 questions. Am I going to enjoy playing this list? And are my opponents going to enjoy playing into this list? And asked, if the answer to either of those questions was no, perhaps they may reconsider the list choices that they've made for the weekend. And actually, I think people on the whole have taken that on board. We've got a couple of strong lists, but
We've got more than a couple of strong lists.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of it is people have taken strong stuff, but I don't know. There's too many examples of completely min-maxing everything. So I'm hoping that is the right kind of level for everybody, and that it actually just creates quite an exciting situation.
Like, a lot of the lists that I've been looking at are not far off what I'd expect to be seeing. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's basically, to be honest, if it's not Cathay that's being min-maxed, then it's not anywhere near as much of a problem. Yeah. I will.
And like, we've only got 2 undead players, for example, other than me, who's playing the buy for an odd number. So, like, realistically, you're only going to encounter undead 13% of the time. So less than 1 game in the weekend, you should play undead. So
yeah, and if you lose that game to undead, you probably don't have to play against them again.
Exactly. So I think, even so, for those things that are sort of stereotypical across the meta at the moment as being the big bads, they are at least much toned down. And then everything else, even if those players have taken stronger lists, they were never the top anyway. So we'll see how it all plays out, really. But it's interesting. I know I did exactly the same email, or very similar email, at the start of 10th edition 40k, when Games Workshop dropped a bit of a bollock in terms of the power level of certain factions, and got a similar response to what I did here. So I have a good amount of faith. I don't really like banning things, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to. I didn't actually want to turn around and ban Cathay or say no one can take any balloons, because I've always believed that an individual TO doesn't know enough. I certainly don't, because I don't play enough to understand the intricacies of what happens if you ban one thing, or say you can only have 1 Pegasus Knight, or whatever it happens to be. I think that you start getting down quite a dangerous road at that point as an individual TO. So I just never want to do it. I just want to let it kind of play out, but also just ask my players to think about what they're doing and think about the experience they are going to have and the experience their opponents are going to have in the game, and hope that people's better nature takes over and everyone actually ends up having a really good weekend.
All right, great. I do want to point out, Ian says in chat, genuinely wanted Cathay there. I've been denied a nose-diving Zeppelin gift to the team chat. It's really funny that the one mortuary cult player at the event is sad that Cathay isn't there. One of the few lists that actually preys on Cathay balloons. Yeah, I'm not surprised that you're sad they've gone. You could shoot them down. Ben says you could ban me. That seems unreasonable, Ben. I don't know what I've done to deserve this.
Ban it.
Yeah. Yeah. Fix the pairings. I want to grudge Ben now.
Oh no, Ben! This is how you get your wooden spoon.
I
back.
think Ben's list would actually be good into me. So that is something that I want to talk about. We'll get to in a second. Lots of people saying that, they wish they were here in the UK, or they're jealous of the UK for their strong tournament scene. It is good. Tournament attendance has gone down a little bit over the last couple of months. I'm pretty sure it's because of the summer holidays.
Holidays, yeah.
Yeah, like all the parents are off, doing holiday stuff. Schools are coming back pretty soon. Either this week or next week, depending on where you are. So, yeah, we'll start to see tournaments fill back up. Instead of only being mostly, full, they'll start being properly full, which will be nice as well. So, let's have a look at some stats, because you do like making some charts and then sending it to me very late into the day.
So you're going to have to look at this on the fly.
Yes.
But I have at least looked at the numbers anyway.
Good.
And I should probably actually introduce what a Saffron Slam is, Ed. Actually, if we go back a step, if that's acceptable.
No.
Fine,
I think you've done that already. Oh, go ahead. Keep it 30 words or less.
Oh, I'm not counting 30 words of that.
You're on 8 already, so...
This is like watching D&D players use the spell sending and then realise they've spent all their time sending.
Stop being a nerd. You're losing the audience. They're here for different nerdery. What's Saffron Slam?
Saffron Slam. This is 6th Old World event I'm running now. Very exciting. We're using the new match play guide. I haven't gone full hog on all the objectives. I probably have 2 or 3 different ways of scoring outside of the kill points in each mission. So it's normally like strategic locations, baggage train, and then a silly saffron thing, or combination of the above. Renegades pack is in use for a little bit of a boost to legacy factions. Deliberately trying to make these events slightly more chilled. We have lots of fun little objectives in each mission, which I quite enjoy doing. There are still some tickets left for this weekend. It's not sold out, so if you would like to come, you'd be very, very welcome. You can now see all the other lists as well, so you can just plan how you're going to crush Ed's dreams with a 5-balloon Cathay list.
Don't say that. Don't say that. You can come and crush my dreams with literally anything else, but please not 5 balloons. If someone, I think if someone joins with 5 balloons, I'm just going to give them the 20-0 and not play them. Like, that seems a better use of my time. I shouldn't do that, given that I've teched in to try and beat them.
Yeah, at least give it a go. But yeah, I do both 1-day and 2-day tickets, even though it's GT. I'm trying to keep it open to anyone that wants to come just for 1 day or 2 days. So that's working quite well. We've got 1 or 2 players coming just for 1 day, which is really great. I can just kind of drop them in and out of the of the event, which is great. People saying it's the wrong chart.
You muppet! You muppet! Can't take you anywhere.
Why am I being blamed for you putting up the wrong chart? I have
because
no
you
control.
sent me the wrong chart, you idiot.
The only way I can see what's going on is watch on YouTube the stream, which is like a 10-second delay. So I have to judge.
You sent it to me in Discord
after I've said the thing.
This is mummy and daddy fighting. You literally sent me the wrong file in Discord.
Did I send you the wrong file?
Yes, you did. So if I go like this, you can see that's the most recent file in Discord that's appearing on screen instead of your face. Pull yourself together, man.
Oh,
this is a professional broadcast.
What is going on? Right, quick. It's no longer the most recent. I don't understand how I've done that. But there we are. That's happened. We're moving on. If you're a channel member, you get 10% off your ticket. So if you give Ed some money, you can also give me some money, but slightly less money than you'd have to give me previously. So that's very exciting. And this is our first weekend. We're going to be at full 6x4 mats. We have cleared Brexit customs, Ed, and we are now on full 6x4s, which is very exciting. Massive thank you to Ginger Steve for spotting me the cash for the mats up front in lieu of what will be many, many, many free tickets. So that's really exciting. I'm very much hoping to have had a delivery of 2 new sets of terrain from my terrain guy, Pumpernickel Games, which are, I've got like a Aztec-y, like a Lizardmen style jungle board, and a undead style, like an undead city, like a ruined sort of undead city, which is going to be really cool. And they'll be laid out in the TSN arena style, of the terrain picking system that he uses, which will be on the top 2 tables. So for those who do kind of want a slightly more competitive experience, once they've won their first game or two, they should be playing on the top tables and playing on
Jungles, eh?
balanced terrain, which is very exciting.
That sounds like a lot of woods to me.
Yes.
Someone might have the Green Knight with them.
You should have 2 woods, and on those mats on the boards that don't have any natural terrain, I will allow you to randomly determine 2 pieces of natural terrain that your Green Knight can jump out of.
Which is a very reasonable middle ground.
I think that works okay.
With your themed boards, that seems like a...
Yeah, because there are some that are like, there's like a desert one, which is all like sort of Egyptian style ruins, which is really cool, but also there's none of that is natural because it's all dusty and broken.
Yeah. Dave says piss off with your Green Knight. We're going to talk about why you should probably be happy to see my Green Knight in a second, Dave, but let's have a look at the actual faction chart if you want to go back to that now that you've provided me with the correct file.
I have the correct one. It's all good. It's all good. So we've got a bit more of an even spread this time around.
Yep.
We've got 15 players, so it's not as big as we've had previous events, so the data is even less useful than it normally is. And we always say you can never really draw any massive conclusions from like 20 to 30 people.
Yeah.
So from 15
unless they're
people,
all playing Cathay.
Yeah, and when they're not all playing Cathay. But we've got 10 of the 17 factions represented. 8 out of 10 of the core factions are there. It's only Wood Elves and Cathay missing out. We're slightly down on legacy factions this time around. Only 2 out of 7 legacy factions are here. The obligatory vampire counts, and some ogres, which is very exciting because the guy, we're going to go through his list in a minute. The guy bringing ogres took Cathay and 3 balloons last time, so he's come back to the dark side. So
I had a look at Tom's Old World Rankings page. Shout out Old World Rankings, great website if you want to see faction stats or anything else, or how you're doing compared to everyone else. So there's been one event that he's taking Cathay, which was a tuned down list, as previously mentioned, and he went 2-2-1 with it. So this didn't change his win rate at all. In fact, it's lowered his win rate, because despite only playing demons and ogres, Tom has a 57% win rate, which is pretty incredible, because those are 2 of the worst factions in the game. So that's really good going. That's impressive stuff for someone who's only played those 2 factions with a slight foray into Cathay that didn't actually... It lowered his win rate, weirdly.
So I think we've got a good player there, Ed. I think there could be an ogre-based surprise coming, which is very exciting. Yeah, on the legacy factions, they only make up 20% of the field this time, which is slightly lower than normally get. It's normally about 33%, which I quite feel like is a half decent number. So, yes, where are my legacy folks? Come back! Don't all run away! Don't let these factions die, please.
Jay says, I only play demons and ogres. My win rate is much lower. There we go. It just, serves to show how impressive it is. That's that is good. That is good. Perfect. All right.
I don't think there's any Arachnaroks in attendance, Amy. I'm very sorry. Although I haven't actually checked every single Orcs and Goblins list, but I don't think either of them had.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Arachnaroks by
they were just taking the good units,
Isn't Amy taking a spider to Germany?
Yes.
What do you know then, Ed?
Obviously nothing. Yes. Amy is one of my coaching students, and we have this light-hearted debate every time she writes a list and wants to put an Arachnarok spider in. The problem is it's really well painted, and given that it's really well painted, it's hard to argue with putting into lists.
Although everything that Amy paints is very well painted, so you could just say go and paint some night goblins and make them really well painted as well.
I did say that, not in those words, but yes, no, I think it's a list that she's had success with, or aspects of a list that she's had success with. So hopefully goes well. I'd love to see an Arachnarok spider win the WTC. That'd be fun.
Yes.
Ooh, night goblins. That's rude. That's rude. They're so good. Anyway, we've gone through the faction breakdown. Was there anything else you wanted to say there, or was that
no, I think that's basically covered it all.
Perfect. Let's have a look at my list and then point and laugh at me, because there are some certain factions.
Strange picks.
So I've gone for Exiles, and I'll just very quickly breeze through. I've got an Frontier Axe Baron, with, knightly temper. Great character. Just really efficient, does kind of a little bit of everything. I've got an Outcast Wizard with Sacrament of the Lady and Dark Magic. This gives me more punch. I can go for Battle Lust. Sacrament of the Lady is a once per... It's like a Power Scroll, but instead of plus, an extra dice, you get +2 to your cast. Very consistent, doesn't make you more likely to miscast. And then I've got the Paladin here, BSB as well. Banner of Shalons, Falconhorn of Freedomund, so something you don't normally see. But I was like, you know what, balloons, I think I need it. So that's in there. Yeah. Then I've gone for the Green Knight.
You can shut them down for a turn.
Yeah, so these are the first 2 tech choices I've done for balloons. So the Falconhorn lets me try and position to get the balloons, because they've only got a short range shooting. So I can park up 14.1 inches away. Or I guess 13.1 inches away, having blown the horn, which is, really fun. That'll be good. I get to charge them, and then they don't die, and they fall back anyway and kill me. So it's not even a good plan, but it's you've got to try something. And then the second thing is the Green Knight, who the game plan here is come out of terrain, charge a balloon in the front, do 0 wounds to it. I'm ethereal. They do 0 wounds to me. Sit there and just tie it up. With
forever.
Almost 300 points of my characters, tying up almost 300 points of their characters. That is a trade deal that I would be very, very happy with. That's the thinking behind the Green Knight. And I actually think outside of Cathay, it's not bad, but it does harm me in some ways. So because I've spent all my points here, instead of going for another Baron, I haven't got the Killing Blow Baron. So I've really teched to try and have a chance against Cathay, which is why it's really funny that there's no Cathay. Oh, real funny. The other thing as well that I think is just fun, we'll talk about the WTC lists a little bit later on, but I've got 5 Knights of the Realm here I haven't given them the Exiles vow, and that is deliberate because...
That wasn't a mistake, Ed. Let's be absolutely clear. You've done that deliberately. You haven't accidentally submitted the wrong list.
No, not this time. Not for this time. But this is correct. This is deliberate. And the reason for this, and the reason that I think Wales probably submitted this correctly as well, although some people have been saying that it's a mistake on their part, is that the Exiles vow, if you have that, it doesn't impart the knight's leadership to the peasants around them. So if you just leave them as knight's vow, you give leadership of the unit to the models around them, which is just more consistency. So given that this unit's only here as attacks, I've made the choice to not give them the Exiles vow and to provide leadership to the Yeoman Guard, the Peasant Bowmen, and the Mounted Yeomen if they're in range. Also, Mounted Yeomen in core, I think, are incredible. Shout out to Andy. This is something that I haven't talked about recently because it was a little bit of a tech choice that the Bretonnian boys for Team England had cooked up. But he's gone more heavy on the Mounted Yeomen than I have. I think 2 units of 6 is pretty solid, and I made them out of Oathmark Human Cavalry. And I was going to put different heads on them. I haven't even bothered. The heads just work. I've given them hooded heads, and they just look like the peasants on horses. It's great.
Brilliant.
I'm a really big fan. I was planning on kit bashing, and then I got to building, and I was like,
oh, this actually works.
I don't need to. This is just good. So that's nice. So yeah, I've made some choices to try and beat Cathay, which has harmed me into like the double dragon matchup, for example. Let's just very quickly have a look down the list of who's here. So we've got a couple of High Elves lists. We've got some Warriors of Chaos. A couple of Warriors of Chaos here. So we've got a lot... we've got the Ogre Kingdoms, which has a big... it's got a Stonehorn in there. So a lot of stuff that I'd really like to try and heroically Killing Blow. You know what there isn't? Cathay. This is... I don't regret making the meta read that I did, where I was worried about Cathay, but it hasn't panned out for me. And that's fine. Sometimes... If you're trying to do well, you've got to take a bit of a gamble. Back in 9th edition in 40k, I went to the UKTC Invitational for people who'd won all their games at events, and I knew that I was not the best player there. And if I wanted to do well, I needed some sort of gimmick. And I thought an army had come out that was like very melee dominated, and I thought all of the good players were going to swap to that army.
Yeah,
I was wrong. God, I was so wrong. The faction I took... No, they did not. The faction that I took was Custodes, and they've got good inbuilt defense against psychic powers. And I changed the internal faction that I took to make them really good against anti-melee, but pretty bad against psychic powers. I played entirely against shooting in psychic armies. I was so sad. Like, I won the wooden spoon at that event. It's the only wooden spoon I've ever won. I didn't technically win the wooden spoon, I will say. Some cowards dropped on day 1. after losing a couple of games, didn't want the shame of having lost all the games. I don't care. I went 1-4, and
The fact you're even there is an honour. It means you've done so well at an event that you deserve to be there. So
there's also, because I did go with a meta read and I tried to lean into what I thought the meta was going to be, it also protected my feelings. Realistically, I would have been like, I think bottom third at that event. There were some absolute killers there, but because I lost because of my army choice, I could be like,
Happy day.
"Not my fault. Not my fault." No, I would have done pretty
It's
poorly
you
there.
preparing excuses for the weekend now, is it?
No. I think it's just it was a story to point out that, you know, sometimes we want to get big brained, and sometimes that works really well. Sometimes it doesn't. You know, we all make mistakes, and that's okay. I think the choices I made were correct. It hasn't panned out for me here, and that's fine because it means I don't have to play against Cathay. However, like when I was also looking down, I was like, wait, hold on. There's a lot of really terrifying lists for me to face. There's a couple of Orcs and Goblins lists. Bretonnians do not like Fanatics, nor do they like Doom Divers. Mortuary Cult really don't like Ushabti with bows. Beastmen, a lot of Vile Tides in there. There's a lot of stuff in there that I was like, oh, I don't actually want to play against this. And also all of the Dragon lists, I'm like, wait, I wish I had a Killing Blow character. So yeah, anyway, that's me just saying this is... I've set myself up for some pain, I think.
This is not me being horrible about Ian, who's playing the Mortuary Cults list, but he's done some stats on his home and away performance. So Ian's one of our local. His win rate is his win rate away from home is 56%, perfectly respectable. His win rate at Saffron Slams is only 33%. So we don't know what's happening. He seems to have thrown away the home advantage. So potentially you might be all right, unless he's found a way of turning it round and getting the crowd on his side to a point where they influence him and become his 12th man.
I did beat him away, actually, here at my home ground, which is the TSN Arena. If you want to buy tickets, links in the description. They've got loads of events. They've got one coming up, not this weekend coming, but the weekend after. 2,600 points still. Event tickets available. Yes, so I beat him there. So theoretically, you're saying that I've beaten the better version of Ian. Is that what you're telling me?
You're now approaching the more fun version of Ian.
Fun Ian,
where he's consumed far too much beer.
That, you know what? Fair. That is fair. Perfect. Well, we wanted to have a look at some lists. So now that I've made excuses, but we'll get on. What? Let's start with one of yours. You want to talk about JJ Robinson. Let's start there.
I did, mostly because of the name of his list. I do like it. It's Too Gassed, Too Furious, 3. Which I'm not entirely sure is a high enough number. I'm pretty sure it's like 45 of those films now, isn't there?
Is it the third event that JJ's been to?
It could well be. I like it. And actually, side note, very definitely in support of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's recent redemption arc, where it looks like he might get an Oscar nomination. I think he deserves it. But yes, JJ's
doesn't
list
he just play one character?
Yeah, but he's played a different character. He's playing a MMA fighter instead of a cop / other type of fighter. But apparently it's deep and meaningful, and actually he was quite good in it apparently. So he's going to potentially get an Oscar nomination, which would be, I think, would be good, because there is nothing The Rock can't do in my mind.
There's very little The Rock can do in my mind, but let's move on. Terrible taste in actors aside, tell me why you picked this list.
Oh, I love him, he's so good. So he's got a pretty standard character loadout bar 1. It's the Mortis engine with the Septonaro for the double res, gone for Talisman of Protection instead of the 4-up ward, so he's not got the stupidity, but he's only got the 5-up ward, level 3 wizard, and also got the Tomb Banshee, which we do love, and the classic White Lord with the Helm of Commandment. He's also taken the Vampire Count, which I do like to see, on the Abyssal Terror, the Ogre Blade. So I love using mine that's running around with his Ogre Blade. Feels strong, but not like too ridiculous, because it's only got 4 attacks and not a huge amount of ways to...
no ward save as well.
I don't think he does, because he's not given him one, has he?
Not even a charmed shield.
No, not even a charm shield. Look at that. So yeah, I think that's good fun. That's just a little missile, I think, or quite a big one actually. But yeah, I do like that pick. In the core, it's pretty standard vampire count core now. 27 Graveguard, which we all love to see. There's no King of the Hill available in the Saffron Slam pack, so he can't just dump them on a hill. And actually, in a lot of my missions, I've gone for strategic locations, multiples of them. One of them I've gone for 5 strategic locations, which is very exciting. So the Graveguard can only be in one place at once, so they're only going to hold him a certain amount of points, and 2 big zombie blocks. But he's not got a huge amount of rezzing, so first turn or two the Master Necromancer will be able to put maybe 5 zombies into each block.
I mean, he has got the Scepter of Denaro, so he can res twice.
With twice, yeah, so he can just maybe do 5 zombies a turn in each block. So I think that's overrunnable. He's then got 2 units of Fellbats. I love the techie Fellbats. I'm assuming, I've not personally used them, but I'm assuming they're there to go and eat some cabbages. I think that's their role, but I'm not. I'm welcome to be corrected.
They're
by
really
Jade.
cheap. They're like for 45 points. They're such a good unit. I'm glad that people are starting to run them now.
Yeah, having that fly and just being able to just nip around.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. Also throwing in 6 Hex Wraiths. Love a Hex Wraith, and so that means there's no Blood Knights in this list, because it's a Saffron Slam vampire list. So I've yet to see Ian, our local Ian, was playing around with Hex Wraiths. I've yet to see them be good, but I feel like there's something in there.
There definitely is, because Team England's Charlie, who I maintain is the best vampire count player in the world, we will soon see evidence of that, I'm sure. He runs 2 units of Hex Wraiths, I believe, is the most up-to-date version of his list.
Excellent. Oh, I would, is much of the WC being streamed? Do you know? I'd like to see how he plays them.
I'm not sure.
But yeah. But yes, and he's also got a black coach, which is always good to see. Love it. It's a great model. Good to see. So lots of ghosts flying around, which I like. Big fan of this list.
Very on theme. All right. Well, I'm going to go with my first list here. Dave. Yeah, I know he's in chat, so I'm going to have to. I was going to be nice about his list, but now that he's given me,
flagging you off.
Yeah, he's given it the big one. I'm going to have to find some flaws in the list. Now, I like this. This feels just like basically what I'd expect to see from a Grand Army list. I think it's solid. We've got the Prince with the triple save, Cedar Rebirth, Armor of Calidor, Biting Blade. I do like having magical attacks. For example, someone might bring the Green Knight, and then, you'd be really sad if I just charged into the front of you. So, yeah, good that that's not a problem for you there. Then we've got an Archmage. Battle Magic, again, gives you access to Hammerhand, so protection against that. Otherwise, 5 up save from a Talisman of Protection, 5 up regen from Cedar Rebirth, Pure of Heart, both of them just really good. Core, Full Command Silver Helms. I've gone off the Full Command 6 Ring of Fury Silver Helms, but also, what else do you put in? So,
yeah,
fair. I don't like them, but also I probably would also put them in my list. 5 Reavers with a champion, and these let you challenge, protect your dragons. Obviously, I've talked about that a lot, but this is just, the list works. And then we've got 2 units of Sisters of Avalon, one with a Ruby Ring, one with the Bow of the Seafarer, some good range support, and finally, 24 Elven Spearmen. Full command, War Banner, and they come with 10 points to give them Shield Wall as well. I really like this unit. Are they incredible? No. They're solidly fine. But they're 9-point elves, which is cheap as far as elves go. They have Shield Wall. They're just fine, I think. They're a solid unit to put on an objective and not have to babysit. But
yeah, you can sort of leave them on their own.
If someone charges you, just have a dragon pointing towards where that unit is going to end up. Because it's, a reasonable amount of CR. They've got a reasonable amount of tankiness in that they've got a 4-up save with parry. You can probably tank that charge pretty well unless you get hit by something with loads of output and first charge. And jobs are good. And you just sort of weather it, don't run away, and then get charged in the backside by a dragon next turn. Something along those lines.
Dave in the chat says, you have absolutely no idea how much of a journey of mental collapse I went through upon submitting this list on Sunday.
Yep.
The spearmen were where 14 to 16 archers and 2 bolt throwers or Tyrannot chariots were until about 11:30 at night.
I think this is a better version of the list.
You think what he's picked is better, right?
Yeah, I think this is pretty much what I'd take if I wanted to play Double Dragon, Grand Army, High Elves. I don't know that I want to do that, but, that is probably the best version, or you could go like 2 Illyrian Reavers if you value skirmish more, and maybe put more points into scoring. So maybe instead of like the Silver Helms, you go 2 Reavers, which are cheaper, and then you go some 14 archers as well. Find some points for them somewhere, something along those lines. But yeah, no, I think it's good. Which takes us on to your second list, which is Thomas Hill. Or is that my second list?
That's your second list.
Tom
you go
Mann.
if you want. I was going to do Tom Mann.
Yeah, the other Thomas.
Yeah, I feel like Tom brought the cafe last time, so he's back on my good books this time around with his ogres. And as you say, from his old rankings, I think back on familiar territory for Tom now. So he's got his tyrant with the tenderizer sitting on his stone horn. More stone horns to come later. Then he's got the elementalism level 3 slaughtermaster.
Hold on,
a couple of power scrolls in there.
More stone horns to come later. Are we looking at the same list?
Oh, more Mornfang, sorry. More cavalry to come, sorry.
You're a liability, mate. What's wrong with you?
Who knows what's going on? It's been a long day.
Take a step back, have a word with yourself, and then come back. Come on. Get it together.
He's on the big elephant-looking thing, and then they've got some smaller-looking elephant things also.
That's the biting analysis we're looking for. Good man. Good man. We're on board. Anyway, sorry. Don't let me interrupt
big
you.
ogres running around on even bigger beasts.
Yeah.
Many of them. But yes, I don't know whether I think the guy on the Stonehorn with the 10 right standard, I think, as is the level 3 elementalism slaughtermaster.
Yeah, so the tyrants, if you want to go for a Stonehorn, I like this build. Death Cheater means that you can make someone reroll 1 wound against you. So if you are worried about Monster Slayer, that's really strong. Tenderizer is basically Ogre Blade that gives you +1 attack, which is obviously great. And then Talisman Protection for a ward save. So this is just a solid, beefy beast that will really hurt things that it fights. I don't know what I would put into that, personally.
No, it feels like it can take a dragon quite happily.
I don't have dragons.
No, well, but other dragons.
Sure.
And then, I mean, the elementalism we know is a good lore. It's got the lore familiar, so he can guarantee the spells he wants, which is always helpful.
I'm not really sure what he's using it for here. Because you normally go Plague of Rust if you want to have lots of shooting. You've got good AP on the Iron Guts, so you don't necessarily need Plague of Rust there. If you go Earthen Ramparts, no one can charge you, but you can't charge anyone. I guess you can TMP, which is more limited now that it's wholly within, not within. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think I'd have rather seen Battle Magic for Oaken Shield and Arcane Urgency. I think that would have been stronger. But maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, I mean, and you've got to think as well that the ogres definitely lose out to Earthen Ramparts only giving you 1 attack. Feels like that doesn't actually help them that much, does it?
Earthen Ramparts doesn't nerf you. It nerfs enemies coming into you.
Yeah, but if you're both in a low inner obstacle, you're not in base contact, are you? So,
is that how that works? I hadn't thought that the downside would work for you, but I haven't actually thought about that.
Yeah, because neither unit's in base contact with each other, so neither unit gets more than 1 attack per model.
That is an interesting thought that I will need to read into more.
Yeah, have a think, but I think that kind of negatively affects ogres as well.
I guess so. Yeah, it would.
Plague of Rust is always good, I suppose, isn't it? So, if there's charge coming from the Mornfangs,
I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. I'll have to ask him.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
And he's got the Bruiser with the Battle Standard Bearer and a great weapon as well.
Sure.
I'm assuming is going to go in either the Iron Guts or the Ogre Balls.
I assume both characters on foot are going into the Iron Guts, and it'll just be a 5x2 Death Star, basically.
One big unit, yeah. So he's got like 750 points of core, which is cool. In the Iron Guts, the Ogre Balls, 2 units of 30 Noblars and 2 units of 2 Saber Tusks as well. 30 Noblars for 65 points.
That's criminal. That is criminal. 2 points per model. If ogres were a good faction, people would be fuming about this unit because it's 2 points per model. You can take 30 of them for 65 points. You're basically paying for zombies. Obviously, zombies are better, but you just get the zombies that you would have rezzed included in the price. Now, they are terrible, But for a unit that's going to sit on a strategic location and require like a frustrating amount of input to get rid of, that is good. Yeah, I like them. I think they're solid there. Jay says that, yeah, but then you have to paint them. Oh, that's exactly the sort of unit that's perfect to just, yeah. Oh, Savas says a line of 30 Noblars with a 5++ is tough to deal with. Wouldn't it suck if that was the plan? And it's just like, I'm going to put 2 lines of Noblars out in front of you. I'm going to cast Earthen Ramparts on it. You will only get 1 attack per model that charges them. Good luck. Like, oh, man, I hate this. This is terrible. Yeah, that would be interesting.
I like it. Good idea.
Yeah.
TMP them forward, so you just never get anywhere.
Well, if they were aligned, you would not be able to TMP them very far. Oh no, because it's from where they were. Sorry, I just said a stupid thing. Ignore me. Moving on.
And moving on, 4 Mournfang Cavalry as well.
Yeah, Bull Standard as well.
Off.
Rerolling the wounds on their impact hits is pretty nice. It's
definitely.
This is a unit that actually does impact hits, so this will do pretty well into infantry. Now, I don't think they have first charge off the top of my head.
So there's a combat res issue potentially in that.
I mean, they just theoretically wipe out the front 2 ranks with their impact hits and then get to swing as well. So, there is that. But yeah,
do their impact hits have AP?
AP1, Armor Bane 1, I think.
AP1. So maybe that's where the Plague of Rust comes in, perhaps. Make it AP3 on those impact hits. To get through your sort of 3-up save parry people.
Yeah, perhaps. But yeah. I mean, Mournfang are really good. Iron Guts are good. These are the things that are like typically seen in ogre lists.
Yeah.
Noblars I like, especially with the terrifying thought of 60 stand and shooting, 60 shots from stand and shoot, as Savas points out. But yeah, no, this feels solid. I like this list. I'd actually quite like to play against it because I've got multiple wounds on my frontier axe. So as long as they don't have, as long as Tom doesn't have Earthen Ramparts up, I feel like I can get in there and cleave some heavy damage out of that unit pretty comfortably. But
yeah, I've played ogres a few times now, and I've just always ended up in a situation where the Mournfang Cavalry just run off the board to terror.
Yeah.
Which always seems a bit of a shame because I'm sure they would do a lot if they charged in. But yeah, I would like to see. I'm interested to see how this goes.
Play something that isn't undead against them then. You rat fuck. You're the problem here. Like, don't have a whinge.
I'm the problem, it's me.
Hey, Taylor Swift, congratulations on your recent engagement. I didn't realise that was in there.
I am so new and so hip. I'm down with the kids.
Well, I'm going to move on before we lose our entire audience.
Quick, picking up a list.
Yeah, so Thomas Hill. Tom's list is, it's almost he was in my head knowing what I was going to play. And he was like, how can I ruin him the best? And this list terrifies me as a newly minted Bretonnian player. So we've got Burlock Daminson, who ignores penalties to hit for long range, I believe it is. And he gives Thunderers or Quarrelers reroll 1s to hit. Oh, hey, we got Thunderers here. Got some Rangers as well, because he can go in there and give them ignore range penalty and then just pass the rerolls on to something else. That's fine.
Yeah.
But he's got the Thane with the Master Rune of Bursting Flame, Accuracy, and Rapid Fire. This is just terrifying. This, it's the one where you're going to take on average, like if you hit both of your shots on 3s with no penalties, you'll be, taking 8 hits on average at Strength 4, AP1, Armor Bane 1. That's a really good profile for killing Bretonnians. Do not like that. Got a Sapper for doing sapping things, giving, entrenched to units as well. Runesmith, Master Rune of Calm, making it harder to cast spells. Just all stuff that makes me go, I don't love that. Warriors, just a nice little bunker here. A few Copters, not as many as, some of the lists. So my, actually having the ability to turn off fly is going to be quite nice against the 5 Copters that are here. But then also, look at this. 4 War Machines with magical shots. I was like, maybe the Green Knight can get out there, mix it up, and just go and charge Copters. Wait, I'm just going to get cannoned to death. Fuck.
Everything.
How do I beat this? I don't know. Got to work that one out. So that's fun. That's an interesting little wrinkle that I'm going to have to deal with there. But yeah, so what I'm hoping is that somehow I just don't get paired into Tom. Sorry, Thomas, it's nothing personal, but your list makes me terrified.
He's been trying. The last few events he's had big blocks of long beards and very much a a very combat themed army. This is the first list he submitted for a Saffron event that is a much more shooting focused list. So I'm going to be interested to see how he does here. This could be really cool.
Yeah, I mean,
It feels strong.
in general, dwarves are pretty good into Bretonnians because you just have the tankiness to tank that charge. But we'll see how they get on. So you're on to your last pick of the evening, which was not that one.
Ben's Orcs and Goblins
list. Yeah, absolutely. And this list also terrifies me.
Yeah, well, so I thought I'd shout Ben out because the last event he came to, he won the Wooden Spoon, and he's renamed his list the Spoon Enthusiasts, and his general, his Black Orc War Boss, is known as Sharrock Spoon Hunter, who's here to take some names.
Yeah.
He's got his fancy trousers on, got the biting blade, and Talisman of Protection, so he's there to make a mess, I hope. I'm assuming he's going in the big old block of Black Orcs. That would make sense in my brain. He's got an Odd Knob, Elementalism, level 3, Lore Familiar, again picking his spells. And then 3 Night Goblin characters. More on that later. 2 big bosses and a Night Goblin war boss who's riding his little cave squig, which we do like. And then Ben has decided he's basically only wants core because he's put 1,000 points of his army into core. The aforementioned big block of Black Orcs are present, and then there's 96 goblins spread across 3 blocks. 60 of them have the spears, and 36 of them have the bows.
Yeah,
and every single one have fanatics. And I have a feeling that amount of fanatics is probably going to be enough for him to dodge the spoon this time around. He then obviously has some fun picks after that. The big block of squig hoppers, which I do like seeing on the table. They are hilarious. And a double Doom Diver, double Mangler Squig, rare wombo combo going on. This is going to be carnage, I think.
This is a good list. Like the characters, maybe I would have tweaked the characters a little bit. This Spoon Hunter, I'd like to see with a bit more mobility, like a character on a Wyvern or something like that. But yeah, you can just put fanatics in front of me and Doom Diver my characters, which is horrifying. But yeah, so that's a good one. Another one that I'm hoping to dodge.
This go well, Ed.
I'm starting to see the flaws in Bretonnians, Starting to see their flaws. Perfect. And that takes me on to my last list, which is Jonathan Flynn's. This is a list I'd have really loved to play against if I had the Killing Blow character, because we're looking at it's a pretty classic list. So we've got a Chaos Lord with a Ogre Blade, Chaos Steed, just ready to go, ready to rumble. Then we've got an Exalted Champion on Dragon with a regen save from the Crown of Everlasting Conquest. Great weapon, single favourite of the gods. Got a level 3 wizard with Demonology to buff up the Chaos Knights, of which there are 9 here, with Magic Resist 2, and Razor Standard, which is an interesting choice, because you're already at AP 3 if you roll a 6 to wound with the Lances, so I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's for subsequent turns, to make the hand weapons more effective in a grind? Maybe. Got some Marauders here. I do like a unit of 15 Marauders to hold objectives. Got some Marauder Horsemen, and then we've got a Warp Fire Dragon as well. Level 1 Wizard, which I was not a fan of pre 1.5, but now post 1.5, I really like having a mobile dispel threat. And when I'm dispelling at +1 as opposed to +2, it's not that much worse. Like, this is, this is pretty terrifying. Again, if I had Killing Blow, if only. Also, this entire list, or all the things that matter, have magical attacks. So the Green Knight's not sure what he wants to do into this matchup, I think.
And more importantly, all the things on the list have names.
Yes, that doesn't worry me, though.
I like it. So well done, Jonathan.
Excellent stuff. But yeah, that takes us to the end of the lists. And I guess the next step is, are you going to hit the button? And we can see if there's any fun and funky pairings for round 1.
There we go. Wait for it. Hitting the button. The button has been hit. So you should be able to see it now, Ed, hopefully.
It says no, but I think I just need to refresh the webpage.
Give it a refresh. I can see.
Yeah, there we go. I was just saying I was really worried about Ben's list with his 9 fanatics and his 2 Doom Divers. So I'm playing Ben round 1.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, yes.
Yep.
Um,
Cool.
there's a risk that Ben might get vertigo being up on table 1 though, so you might just be able to push him over. Sorry, that's a bit savage.
I'm not here to threaten physical assault towards my fellow tournament goers. Out of the two of us, I follow laws. I'll just leave that one as it stands. Just accuse you of being a criminal. What else have we got? We've got Warriors of Chaos, one of the lists that, again, I'm worried about, versus Expeditionary Force. So if one of those two knock each other out, maybe I can dodge playing the X-Force. That's the one I really want to avoid. We've got Ogre Kingdoms into High Elves. That's fun. I think Dave was saying that he was going to... No, it was a different person, never mind. We've got Vampire Counts versus Warriors of Chaos. That is, the Anvil versus the Unstoppable Force. Unstoppable Force means the immovable object, the two classics. Mortuary Cult playing Vampire Counts. Both Undead players...
getting the buy in the round 1, look at that.
Both Undead players getting the maximum amount of fun, which is playing against Undead. So I don't want to say that you two deserve each other, because Ian's lovely.
I will be bringing my all-cavalry Undead list. So it will be all Black Knights, all Blood Knights, and Abyssal Terrors. That's it. No shenanigans. Just charge forward straight in. That went so well last time when he leadership locked my stupid general and just crushed him to death with the Caskets of Souls. But it's good for Ian's win rate. That's a solid. He'll be on 100% win rate after that first game.
Excellent. I'm pleased to hear that. Andy's Empire are playing against Beastmen, so that's a fun one. That's a classic, one for the ages, the grudge match. The Beastmen fighting the Empire. And then we've got Orcs and Goblins versus High Elves. So some fun pairings there. I would struggle to call most of those, actually. I think those are all pretty reasonably well matched. It doesn't look like anyone's really got a list where they should be quaking in the boots, me excluded. Yeah, no, good stuff. Any hot takes from these matchups?
Nothing's jumping out. I'm going to be really interested to see how Andy gets on with his Empire. This will be the first event I believe Andy's been to with the Empire that he's bringing. Lots of wizards and lots of state troops, and so I'll be really interested. And I think it looks quite a strong Beastmen list as well. So I don't know how much practice Andy's had with the Empire, so that might be a bit challenging, but I'm sure he'll be all right.
Yeah, to be clear, the first time Andy might have been to an event this edition, given that he's got two armies, of which both are multi-use. So he's got Warriors of Chaos that can also be Dark Elves, and he's got Empire that can be another faction. I actually don't know what his Empire can be. He has told me, so I should know. But yes, I think he can. He's probably well versed in Faith and also Steel.
He's got this. I believe in him.
Absolutely. All right, perfect. Well, should we answer some questions?
Do we have to, Ed?
I don't. We can go in as much detail or as little detail as we want to. So. First of all, Ed says, just to double check, but we need to submit close order podcast questions for tonight, right? I said yes. Ed then goes, this was a question for the podcast. Dickhead. And then we're straight into it. Goldfire asks, what do you think should be done with the faults in lists in WTC, both the illegal ones and the Bretonnian ones? I'm not talking about if it was at Saffron Slam, but if you were the judge at WTC, you're welcome. So, I know I have a different opinion to that of some of the people in the chat right now. I will say, I am
Should I give a little introduction, Ed, as to what has occurred?
No, sorry, I'm getting to it. So, I'm going to give my opinion. I'm going to explain why before you melt down. Some of the people who are here are the people who are effective, and I'm sorry for you, but I will give my honest opinion. Now, the short version is lists were submitted for WTC a couple of days ago. I think it was the 30th or the 31st, and once submitted, lists were locked, and then after a couple of days, or after a very short amount of time, actually, the list went live. There's been two sets of issues. The first set of issues is that A few countries have submitted illegal lists. I think there were 3 illegal lists that need to be changed by the minimum amount of change possible, as opposed to anything else. The second issue is that there are some legal lists that have been, the mistakes made. So the 3 that have jumped out, and I'm not including Wales in this because I think theirs is deliberate, but the 3 that have jumped out are 3 lists that are either Exiles or Errant True Crusade, but they've put Knight's Vow on their lists. So that's the reason that people want to change. The argument is that it's obviously a mistake, and they wouldn't want to take the Knight's Vow instead of the Exile's Vow or the Crusader's Vow, I think it is, for Errant True Crusade, which is probably, there's 99.9% accurate. There are small advantages to having the Knight's Vow, as mentioned previously when I was talking about my 5 foot knights who weren't Exiles. But if we're talking, 5 Pegasus Knights in a list where everything else is Exile's Vow, it's pretty obvious what the intention was. So that's the backstory there. Now, I want to point out that my opinion on this is consistent, because the reason that the meme about the second place list came up is because I was sat on Discord. Funnily enough, I believe it was with Callum and Winslow, 2 people who are unfortunately affected here. And they've mocked me because I submitted the list wrong late at night, and I submitted a list with an impetuous dragon when I decided I didn't want to do that. Now, I just wore that. I just went to the event and I was like, oh, this sucks. I'm just going to have to play as it is. Is that different to what we've got here? To an extent, but it's a real life example of the fact that my opinion on this is consistent. It was the TSN Arena event. I could have just shot Rob a message and he probably would have let me change it. But that isn't what I would want. Would it upset me if they changed lists for those specific teams, which is to some extent a competitive advantage for the people who have made a mistake and are not then being punished for that mistake? Not really. I don't think it's a big deal in the grand scheme of things if they do decide to make that decision. It's not the decision I would make, but I'm also not going to lose sleep over it. For me, given the scale of the event, this is meant to be the best players in the world. I hold the opinion that people should have submitted the right lists. Now, this is my personal opinion. This is not Team England. The reason I'm bringing up Team England is we had an internal deadline. We wrote our lists, and then they had to be submitted to a certain channel in Discord where the communication is done. And at that point, they were checked. They were checked multiple times. There was an evening where people sat down and checked lists together. Unfortunately, I was coaching, so I wasn't able to jump in. I just sat and checked all of the lists. I made sure there were no mistakes with it as best as I could. So we did that extra step of list checking. And to be clear, that is the level of commitment I would expect from the best players in the world. Again, do I think it's the end of the world if they do decide to change it back, and just allow them to fix it? Not really. It's not the end of the world. What bothers me more about the situation is that the judges made a ruling and then immediately they were questioned, and it was their decision was overruled by the teams, and there was discussion about putting a captain's vote to it. People who don't know, captain's votes were for things that weren't necessarily covered or needed to be addressed, but there was a deadline for the last captain's vote. We have passed that deadline. So I'm concerned about judges being overruled, and at what level or what point do we say we have to just live with the judges' rulings? That's my perspective on the matter. Anything to add?
I think that's fair enough. I think the WTC, it really is supposed to represent the pinnacle of each country's players, right?
Yeah.
This is supposed to be best of the best of the best. And it's not just like a little fun RTT where changing a list doesn't really matter. I think that event being the pinnacle makes arguments both for and against allowing players to change their lists. If you want to have an event where the best players are playing the best lists against the best players, it wouldn't be a great look to hamstring a team that has ballsed up during list submission, play a very unoptimized version of a list because they made some silly mistakes. On the other hand, as you say, these aren't like new players. They're not players that don't know what they're doing.
Mm.
And I would have thought, having not been involved myself, I have never been involved in England, either 40k or Old World, but I'm assuming these lists are being tested for months and months and months beforehand. So to get to a point where someone doesn't notice that they've missed what is quite a fundamental part of how a lot of these lists operate with the veteran, I struggle with that slightly. And then there's an argument, if you allow the players to change their lists, going against what the judges have said, exactly as you say, does that affect the integrity of the event? I'm not sure it does. I mean, yeah, if it's just an honest mistake and you're just correcting it, I think it's probably fine. But I think there's definitely an argument to say that the teams that now know exactly what every other team is bringing have meaningfully more information than they had when they made their list submission. And if this was in a game setting, once the game has moved on to a point where you have had more information than you would have had at the time that you made a certain decision, a lot of players will say, okay, we draw a line at having a take back at that point, because actually the game state has fundamentally changed. Yeah. So you could make an argument the game state in terms of list submission has fundamentally changed, and there's information that these players now have that they didn't have 2 days ago, whenever it was the deadline was. Clearly, again, I think those players make the argument it's literally a very obvious change they want to make, a silly mistake, these things happen, and they would go back to something that everybody would have thought they would have done in the first place. So, I mean, there's probably, I guess, 3 ways that they proceed. I mean, you just go down the no changes route. The players screwed it up. They've got to own it and they've got to move on and make the best of it. You could let them change it. And you could either just do that openly and say, yeah, okay, clearly you've made a mistake, go and change it without any kind of penalty, or you let them change it with some kind of points penalty. I don't know what's in the pack about list errors and list changes and the people that had submitted illegal lists, whether they're having to take a penalty as well for having submitted an illegal list.
I believe so, yeah. That is in the rules pack.
Yeah.
Just to point, Callum's saying everyone was asked to change before lists were out as well, by the way. I haven't heard that detail. If that's true, I would say it would have been reasonable for them to fix it. Like, if it's between submission but before other people can see the list, I don't see an issue with fixing it. But I haven't heard that. I don't know if that's, I haven't got all the information on that, if that's correct or not. But yeah, if it was asked before lists were open, then I don't see an issue with it. But what I'm talking about is with lists being open and everyone's seen them at this point.
Yeah. I think probably what I would maybe do, given it's all sort of blown up and got a bit controversial, is we're a little way off the event still, aren't we? We're a good few weeks away still, aren't we?
Yeah, it's the end of September, so most of a month.
So I would potentially, if it was me making the call, having thought about it today, what I would do is I think I would just wipe the slate completely. I would take all the lists for all the teams.
No,
get rid
you
of the
can't
whole
do
lot.
that. You can't do that.
No. What I would do, and then just turn around to everyone and say, resubmit from scratch. Everyone has exactly the same information at that point.
People have had hidden lists. There's been things that people have been testing and teching for and keeping secret. Like you can't put that. You can't. The genie's out of the bottle now. That would be completely unfair to anyone who's come up with anything innovative. It would be completely unreasonable.
But that's the same argument, isn't it? Now there's players that now have potentially the option to change their lists.
I think in this case, I don't think that's an option that you would go for. You either say no, you can't change, or yes, we will allow you to change them to the correct vow, because it is pretty linear. It's binary. It's either yes or no. It is changed. It doesn't fundamentally change how the list plays. Well, it does, but it's not. It's not like I could go, oh well, actually, there's way less ethereal than I thought, so I'm going to change my Baron to a Green Knight. If you could resubmit lists, things would change too much. That's not something that should be on the table as a change.
So they would be allowed to just make, the judges would effectively say, this is the change you're allowed to make.
Yeah, well, so literally all they're trying to do is change the vow from Knight's vow, which is the base Bretonnian vow, to the vow that is specific to their detachment, which was not ticked on new recruit. And the argument,
what would Wales say about that? Who you think might have deliberately not taken that?
I assume they wouldn't change theirs. But that's like a deliberate tech piece, which is 5 models which are going to sit in the backfield and probably provide leadership to
Yeah.
the peasants around. So it basically comes down to, do you think people should have done due diligence in the list checking? And do you think that people should be held to the rules that they agreed to and all voted on ahead of time? Or do you think that you should be able to fix mistakes? Like I said, I fall on the first side, but I also wouldn't lose sleep over the fact that people, get their lists fixed.
Yeah, it's really difficult, isn't it? And I think, yeah, I would have thought, I think leaning on making a call, I'd probably agree with you and just say, what is the organizer supposed to do? Like to just make these changes and just throw the rules out the window because someone made a mistake. At where does that stop? Not that anyone's trying to do it maliciously or anything like that. I don't think anyone is. I think clearly honest mistakes have been made. No one's done it to try and game the system at all. But you end up in a position where actually, if the rules don't matter in terms of the rules that are set out in the pack, I come back to the point, it's not just a little local RTT where it doesn't really matter overall. This is supposed to be the best of the best of the best.
Yeah.
And for a series of players to miss that when it is so crucial to the way the list performs.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's tricky. I think you've got to own it and wear it and deal with it and make sure that whichever countries they are, they have more robust procedures in next year. Feels harsh. I know if it was my event, I wouldn't do that, but sure. I'm not running WTC.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're talking specifically about this level of event, right? So that's the level that I hold myself to. As as evidenced, I've made a mistake. I've played the event with the list mistake, but I've also played against people who've gone, oh, well, I've done this wrong at the event. And I'd be like, oh, just go and talk to, the TO and ask if you can change. I've done that, in fact, when I was playing at your Saffron Slam. Andy submitted something wrong, and he didn't want to. He held himself to the same standard that I would hold myself to. But I literally said, we can play it the way that you intended to play it this game, and then just talk to Lewis. I'm sure he'd be able to, happy to swap it over. Like it's a very, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it would be a very obvious change over there. My main concern is the overruling of judges. Like judges need to have authority to make decisions, and if they don't, it can't come down to which group of players can shout the loudest in terms of and I don't mean specifically in terms of this, but having seen how being vaguely aware of how other WTCs for other games in, like, for example, Warhammer have gone, don't want things to just be like, oh, this country who's got a bad rap has strong-armed the judges into making a decision. And that's, something that does happen in other games. Or I think maybe not so much now. Jay, who runs the WTC judging out in 40k, is very competent. So I'm sure he's got that shit on lock now. But in previous years, I've heard poor things.
Yeah, because you get to a position where if a certain country is able to influence a few other countries that haven't made any mistakes to push the judges, you just end up in a situation where you're just kind of, whoever's got the most influence makes all the decisions and makes all the rules.
Yeah.
And is that where you want to get to? So yeah, I don't know. Really difficult situation to be in. Not ideal for any of them. But I think, there's arguments on both sides, isn't there? But yeah, it's treat W as a different beast to normal events. I think you probably do.
Yeah, exactly. It's
and hold yourself to a higher standard.
Yeah. Cool. So, moving on. Ginger Steve, with all the lists out for Worlds, were you surprised at the variation in the list, or do you think a lot of teams are taking the same units and armies? Yeah, there are some countries that really surprised me. Like Germany's lists are really interesting. I don't think they've got any behemoths. They've got the lowest average point per unit. So, like, I think USA has the highest. They've got a lot of, like, behemoths. They're going, like, full pressure, whereas Germany's gone a lot smaller, a lot more potential for, like, scoring and stuff like that. So some really interesting differences in the ways that people can look at playing the game, which I think is fun. I'm looking forward to seeing which playstyle wins out. Obviously, I will be talking about the lists because of the list controversy, which has been sort of brewing over the last few days, and knowing the change was going to be coming, especially for the countries that had made a list mistake, I've held off on doing a WTC list review. So hopefully I will be able to do that for Thursday. I've been pulling together some stats. Shout out to Ed, who has also helped with those, or rather done most of the legwork for me.
I've said it's quite a lot of Skaven knocking around.
3 whole Skaven armies, yeah. All around the same sort of premise, which is some shooting, some scoring, a Skaven, Death Star. So we'll see how that goes.
It's interesting because I think these big events, for people that follow them, I think people take ideas for their own events. And I know teams lists are different to singles lists, but to see like a couple of Skaven ideas popping up that maybe people haven't tried or maybe haven't had the confidence to try.
No, it's just the same list. It's the list that Anubis has been playing. I don't necessarily know why.
This gives it some publicity, doesn't it?
Sure. I don't know why 3 countries have decided that, yes, we're going to take Skaven. That is pretty wild to me. So I'm curious if they know something I don't. Because I like the list and I've played against it. I wouldn't have put it in, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. One person cannot have the full picture at all times.
Absolutely.
Goldfire says, watching King and Conqueror, would you say the way they portray English people from different regions is still correct? And if so, what the fuck is up with Mercia? Have you seen King and Conqueror?
I have not. No, I was hoping you would see it.
No, I have no idea. I don't really watch TV. That's unfortunate. Too bad. Sorry, Goldfire. You got a longer answer to your last question. I tell you what I have been watching. I've been doing a lot of building and painting recently. Obviously, I've got to paint an entire army for your event this weekend coming. And I decided the best thing to do was to rewatch, or rather listen to, all of the Marvel films in order of plot. And the reason for that is I've seen most of them already, and I don't need to actively watch them, so I can just have them on in the background. And it's a lot of hours of content. So I've gone through... Where do you start? Captain America, which I think is good. Iron Man, which is obviously a classic. Then we hit the Hulk film. I was like, oh, this is worse than I remember it to be. And then Iron Man 2, and I was like, oh, this is worse than I remember it to be, but not as bad as Hulk. So, yeah, it's been solidly fine, I would say, has been the listening experience I've had so far. I've got, I think, Thor coming up next, which I don't think contrary to other people's, I really liked Thor Love and Thunder, and I didn't like the first 2. So, yeah, I gotta slog through those back to back, I think. Or maybe there's the Avengers in there as well.
The Guardians of the Galaxy coincide with Avengers at some point, don't they?
It's all the same universe. They all...
What time frame is Guardians of the Galaxy occurring in terms of the order you're supposed to watch these films in?
I know, there's a list on Reddit that I'm just following. I go from one to the next one. I don't really worry too much about it. I'm only paying 30% attention, so it's not too big of a deal for me there. All right, what else have we got? I will read this, even though it's not a question. Ed says, Ed is trying to silence me. Do you agree that Ed is a tyrannical bully who will not answer on a topic sensible question? I feel like we've been strong-armed into answering some questions, so I disagree. There is, you know what? There are a lot of not serious questions here. So I'm going to skip down to Callum's real question. Rapidly. Yeah. Callum says, real question. What's the most readily available tool/tactic you see people not use? Personally, I'm often surprised with people not flaying as much as they should. That was the one that immediately came to mind before I even read the second half of that question. People should run away a lot more. And I'm hoping to be a good Bretonnian player in that I will still run away from things and people will not suspect it. That's the hope. Have you got anything to come to mind?
Yeah, the one that I don't use is Fear. Okay. And it's a tool I have actively available to me, and I forget it every single combat without fail.
It's not a tool. It's just you forgetting your rules. That's not a tool or a strategy. That's just you forgetting how your army works.
Really, really useful at points.
Yeah. It's really difficult to play against if you've got bad leadership. Or if you just fail a roll, you're like, oh, guess I'm screwed then.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what I need to make more use of.
Yeah.
The rules I actually have, make more use of those.
Northern Exile, you'll be. What will be the future of the home nation teams post WTC? Will they continue to compete in various competitions, or just reform in time for next year? Now, I can't speak for the three that aren't England, but I know England will continue to go to events. I believe there's an event coming up post WTC, somewhere in Europe that is coming up as an event that people will be looking to go to. So I'm sure there will be continued action for Team England looking to go to events, even though it might not be 8-man events. There's some like 4-player or maybe even 5-player team events. I'm talking international ones. I'm not talking about getting Team England to come to Saffron Slam. And
that would be cool though.
Yeah, sure. Perfect. Then we've got Goldfire again. Lewis, since you were running Renegades, how do you think it should be managed the best? I'm a purist, but since it's here, I would like it to be functioning. Right now, there's a lot of difference in how many /good changes there have been to different armies. I'm quite sure Edward said he fucked up by not contributing to Dark Elves and or Skaven. Would it make sense to have input from some of the good, no offense to other contributors, players, instead of Reddit / the masses? Just to answer this one, I don't regret not giving feedback. I think I said at the time, I felt rude not getting back to Val when he asked for my input, and I feel like I should have done, given that he asked me politely and I said I'd give them a look, and then I just didn't get back to him. So I regret it in that I think I was rude with that, and I wish I had interacted differently in that case.
Yes, I mean, I think it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but does it improve on the current situation for these legacy factions, which Games Workshop have said they're not going to do any rules for, they're not going to support, and they should never be used ever again, and you will be immediately murdered if you take a legacy faction to Warhammer World.
That's not entirely true, but they did say don't buy models for these factions, which is basically the same thing.
Is it better than what Games Workshop have been able to put out, and is it widely accepted? I think the answer to both those questions is yes. Ben in the chat has never once declared a war. Call yourself an orc player, man.
I will do my best to remind you. That's my promise. I can't promise that I'll remember your rules, but I will really try if it comes up.
Fellow greenskins will be turning in their fungal pits right now.
Nah, they might call it a warg. Disgusting.
So yeah, as I say, is it better than what we've got, and is it widely accepted? I think the answer to both those questions is yes. Is Val being cautious about making too many changes and making too many frequent changes? I think yes, and I think that's probably sensible. We are still relatively early into 1.5, and don't think we yet have enough data for him to be able to make meaningful changes that can get widespread support to a point where we could keep running the Renegades as a way to make some of these legacy factions more viable. So I think he has had input from good players as well as Reddit. Pretty sure he's mentioned that in conversations and in their own episodes. So I'm confident that with a bit more data, there will be an update that will come, and it will be hopefully very sensibly put together, as have the first few updates. Just the game has changed really since that last sort of big update. So yeah. That's a very round way of saying yes.
So then on to Ed, who asks, and this is rude, now that you're on YouTube Bucks, what is your favourite restaurant in Monaco, favourite champagne vintage, and preferred brand of caviar spoon? Not even caviar, just spoon. The reason that's rude is because I ended up, after a stream, I think it was, sat on Discord with him and Callum, where I told him how much I didn't make. So he's really rubbing it in. Ed, who has a good job in London and makes loads of money. So thanks for the reminder. The next question is more up my street, which is, what's your favourite coloured wheelie bin, and which one would make the best extension? Now, I could probably afford that. Although I think it's probably quite expensive to get wheelie bins now. Isn't there probably some sort of like ridiculous fee? It's like, oh, if you need a new one, you got to pay 80 quid or something like that. That's my assumption.
This is really not exciting. I am sad that this is the point we've got to in our conversation, but we did have to get a new bin of recently because someone on our road stole the old one.
Bastard.
It was free.
Oh, okay.
So, but that might be because we've got a very rich council here. So it
Mm,
could be that I'm just in a posh area, so I don't have to
I
pay.
am
If I was a
not.
peasant, I would have
Nottingham,
to pay.
one of the top 10 for wage inequality versus cost of living,
Yeah.
as it frequently comes up on the charts there. But let's move on. Favorite color will you bin? Do you have one?
Probably green because I'm obviously an environmentalist,
Very
so that
nice.
means recycling. Happy days.
Very
Although
nice.
I've realised in some places in the UK, green doesn't mean recycling; it just means
No.
general waste,
Yeah,
which
they
is
change.
so fucking confusing. Um,
Now,
so
I
I don't
haven't
know how
had
to decide
a
that.
wheelie bin in a long time, so I actually don't have a favorite. I've got communal massive bins and then communal recycling areas because I live in
Yeah.
a block of, well, an old building converted into flats. So my favorite wheelie bin is big bins that you can drop loads of stuff into.
One that you could genuinely live in.
Yeah, I wouldn't. They stink. They are pretty rancid, at least for like 4 days of the week, and then they get emptied and it's back to like an okay smell for 3 days. But yeah,
Yeah.
always a pleasure to drop stuff off down there. Well, anything else from